two highlights of the Italian Superturismo Championship. The opening round of the Italian Superturismo Championship was held at Misano, with the series kicking off on a controversial note. 6 cars, including the factory Audi Quattro pole winner Rinaldo Capello, were demoted to the back of the grid for technical irregularities after the first qualifying session. This promoted Emanuele Pirro in the second Audi to pole, with former British touring car champion Gabriele Tarquini alongside him on the front row in a factory Alfa Romeo TS155. Pirro went to the front from the flag, with Tarquini having to fight his way past the Alfa Romeo of Antonio Tamburini before he would mount a challenge on the former champion Pirro, who was starting to run into tyre problems. With the Alfa Romeo pit urging him on, Tarquini slowly started to close the gap on Pirro. Behind them, Rinaldo Capello had fought his way through the field into third. The decisive moment came on the last lap. With Tarquini right on his tail, Pirro was held up by the BMW of Yolanda Surreega running in 8th place. The Audi and the Alfa could not find a way past the BMW on a twisty section of the circuit, and when Pirro pulled out to pass Sura, the wily Tarquini grabbed his opportunity and dived for the inside. With the two cars touching, Tarquini squeezed his way through and into the lead. With less than half a lap to go and his tyres finished, there was no way a frustrated Pirro could fight his way back. Tarquini swept around the final corner ahead of the four-wheel drive Audi to take the checkered flag, with pandemonium breaking out in the Alfa Romeo pits. In the second race, the Audi Quattros of Pirro and Capello went straight to the front, followed by Tarquini and Tamburini. On the first lap, Tarquini went wide at one of Misano's right-handers, hit the curb and damaged the Alfa Romeo's sump. With smoke pouring from the car, Tarquini quickly slowed, and any hopes he had of a double for the day disappeared as he was forced into early retirement. As Tarquini coasted towards the pits in the stricken Alfa Romeo, the rest of the field came streaming past with the Audi Quattros taking early control. After being bumped off the circuit in the first race, Gianni Morbidelli in the BMW Italia works car was on a charge from the back of the grid. Morbidelli picked up another place when he forced his way past the Alfa Romeo of Oscar Larari. While Morbidelli continued to work his way through the field, it was the end of the road for Roberto Calciago in the Opel Vectra. With first race winner Gabriele Tarquini an early casualty, there was no pressure on the Audi Quattros. Out in front, Emanuele Pirro set the fastest lap of the race in opening up a 2-second gap over teammate Rinaldo Capello. Behind the Audis, there was an uneventful run in third place for Antonio Tamburini. At the flag, Audi took revenge with the two Quattros first across the line, with Audi celebrations more muted than Italian joy in the first race. The second round of the Italian Championship moved to the short BINETTO circuit in southern Italy. The Audi Quattro A4s of Rinaldo Capello and Emanuele Pirro dominated qualifying, with Capello taking pole position ahead of the former Italian champion. Alfa pair Antonio Tamburini and Fabrizio Giovanardi qualified ahead of Misano first race winner Gabriele Tarquini. But the former British champion was soon up into third place behind the two Audis, with Tamburini back to fourth place ahead of Giovanardi. Tarquini muscled his way past Tamburini with a bold passing maneuver on the outside. The Audi Quattros of Rinaldo Capello and Emanuele Pirro were easing away from the pack of Alfa Romeos, their progress unimpeded by the spinning BMW of Yolanda Surreega. The Alfa Romeo squad lost one of their number when Antonio Tamburini was forced out with an electrical problem. Gabriele Tarquini was still in third, some 5 seconds behind the Audis, with a terrific battle developing between Fabrizio Giovanardi and Emanuele Naspetti in a factory BMW. The fight between Tarquini, Giovanardi and Naspetti was the highlight of the race. The two Alfa Romeos and the BMW swapped positions time and again in a furious battle. The trio was so engrossed in their own duel, they were allowing Capello and Pirro to get away from them. Late in the race, Rinaldo Capello ran into a gearbox problem, with Emanuele Pirro moving into the lead ahead of his teammate. Capello held on for second, and behind the Audis, it was Tarquini who won the fight against Giovanardi and Naspetti, with Gianni Morbidelli sixth in a BMW. The second race of BINETTO saw the two Audi Quattros of Emanuele Pirro and Rinaldo Capello blast off the line ahead of the Alfa Romeos of Gabriele Tarquini and Fabrizio Giovanardi. At the first corner, Giovanardi nipped into third ahead of Tarquini, with Emanuele Naspetti up into fifth ahead of the Opel Vectra of Roberto Calciago and Gianni Morbidelli in the factory BMW. While a terrific scrap started to develop between Calciago and Morbidelli, first race casualty Antonio Tamburini was on a charge through the field from the back of the grid. Tamburini was picking up one place after the other in an impressive display. Ahead of him, Emanuele Naspetti was lying fifth. Calciago's race ended in a gravel trap, with Morbidelli penalised 10 seconds for punting the Opel Vectra off the circuit. Naspetti was trying his hardest to close on the two Alphas up ahead, and overdid matters with a spin, not costing him any places in the race order. When Fabrizio Giovanardi was blocked by a backmarker on the last lap, Gabriele Tarquini snatched a last-gasp third place. With a flag-to-flag win, Emanuele Pirro completed a double for the day, with Audi teammate Rinaldo Capello coming in ahead of Tarquini, Giovanardi, Naspetti and Tamburini, who clambered his way into sixth place ahead of Morbidelli. It was a double celebration for the Audi Quattro squad on the podium, with Pirro moving into a clear championship lead ahead of teammate Capello and Tarquini, who was the first of the Alfa Romeo squad. The famous Monza Grand Prix circuit hosted rounds 5 and 6 of the Italian Superturismo Championship, with Gabriele Tarquini putting his factory Alfa Romeo on pole position. It was championship leader Emanuele Pirro who went into the early lead in the Audi Quattro A4, with Tarquini in hot pursuit. While Pirro and Tarquini fought for the lead in an intriguing battle, Roberto Calciago and the Opel Vectra were revelling in the Monza conditions, with the Opel up into third place in its best showing of the season. With Rinaldo Capello starting from the back of the grid in the spare Audi after problems in qualifying, Pirro had no protection from his teammate and could not hold off a flying Tarquini. The Tarquini-Pirro scrap for the lead never lacked interest, with the championship leader piling on the pressure to try and force Tarquini into a costly mistake. Further down the field, there were mistakes aplenty, and Gianluca Roda had a narrow escape when Giovanni Ogno overdid matters at one of Monza's chicanes and almost took out Roda. Roberto Calciago was an impressive third in the Opel Vectra, and with Tarquini and Pirro holding each other up, the Ray Mallock-built Opel was slowly closing in on the leaders. Ahead of Calciago, the Tarquini-Pirro battle came to an abrupt halt when the unfortunate Tarquini slowed with an electrical problem. That left Pirro to cruise to an easy victory. But there was happiness in the Opel pit, with Calciago second ahead of Antonio Tamburini and Rinaldo Capello in the second Audi. Gianni Morbidelli and Fabrizio Giovanardi completed the top six. Round 6 at Monza produced some of the most exciting racing of the series so far. It was tough going throughout the pack, and among the midfield runners, Yahado Kazago was an early casualty when he was bumped off the circuit. A problem between the first and second races saw Fabrizio Giovanardi a late starter. At the front of the field, the Opel Vectra of Roberto Calciago was starting to close in on championship leader Emanuele Pirro in the Audi Quattro. When Calciago decided to make his big move, he didn't stand on ceremony. He simply forced his way past Pirro, with the Audi taking a heavy thump from the Opel as Calciago muscled his way to the front. Behind new leader Calciago and Pirro, more trouble was brewing. Rinaldo Capello in the second Audi, Gabriele Tarquini in the Alfa Romeo, and the BMWs of Emanuele Naspetti and Gianni Morbidelli tangled. The incident put Tarquini and Naspetti out of the race, but up front there was a huge celebration in the Opel pit when Roberto Calciago gave the Opel Italia team its first win. Pirro came in second ahead of teammate Capello, with Morbidelli fourth and Antonio Tamburini fifth. Another famous Grand Prix circuit, Imola, was the venue for rounds 7 and 8 of the championship. Rinaldo Capello took his second pole position of the year in the Audi Quattro, with Alfa Romeo star Gabriele Tarquini joining him on the front row. Tarquini's lead was short-lived when he went wide at the Villeneuve corner and allowed both Audis to get past him. Round 6 winner Roberto Calciago in the Opel Vectra was in the wars early on. Calciago tangled with Oscar Lorari's Alfa Romeo, with the Alfa joining an unhappy-looking Mauro Trioni in the pits. When Lorari brought the Alfa into the pit, he also didn't look all that amused, and it was more argy-bargy when Fabrizio Giovanardi tangled with one of the BMWs. Roberto Calciago was given a 10-second stop-and-go penalty for punting Ferrari off the circuit. And up front, matters were starting to hot up, with Gabriele Tarquini making a desperate last-gasp attempt to pass race leader Emanuele Pirro. It all went wrong for Tarquini, who slid off the circuit, with the two Audi Quattros coasting home ahead of the Alfa Romeo.